San Francisco!
He has nearly 40 years of broadcasting in Northern California. The voice of the San Francisco 49ers, Greg Papa. Sponsored by Sunpoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard of the public adjusting industry.
Oh, it was a week ago today. We talked to the voice of the Niners, Greg Papa. We got so fired up because if the Niners had won, if the Rams had won, we are going to hear Greg Papa on the call for the NFC Championship game. And unfortunately, it did not happen for the 49ers. But it is great, nonetheless, to talk to Greg Papa. Greg, it's Jason. How are you today?
Boy, that seems like a lifetime ago, let alone a week ago.
Yeah.
So much has transpired, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, right from the opening kickoff, Jason, Rashid Shaheed taking it back 95 yards. They had a brilliant team set up with their fullback, Bradley Russell, coming over and getting the Niners best special teams players, Saran Neal. They got Gifford blocked, and Chase Lucas missed the block, and down the sideline you go. You know, Eddie made a smart play, try to trip him. That's all he can do is take the 15 yards from there, but it was a swing and a miss, and it was on, and just so many plays, obviously, the way they ran the ball, the way Brock was just overwhelmed with the pass rush is really the big concern, and Brock played great. The way he was able to step up and step through that pressure time and time again to make himself available as a thrower, and he made a lot of plays, both going to his right and throwing back across his body to middle and left, and he gave him a chance, but the reality is, you know, we played those guys 8 quarters.
Yeah.
On January the 3rd and January the 17th, and there were no touchdowns San Francisco's. They scored 3 and 6 points, 9 points off 3 field goals. That's it. So a lot of work to do. Certainly a lot of healing to do for this team, and they'll come back next year. But you've also got to be realistic about where you are, and that is you're in the NFC West. You're in the best division in football now, and arguably Arizona had it down here, so you don't have all the way to the bottom. But those top 3 teams, all with 12 or more wins, all to advance to the divisional round. When you went to the Final 4 in the NFC this year, 3 were in the NFC West, and 2 are in the championship game, which leads to, what do we do, faithful? Who do we want to lose? We don't want either one to win. We want them to play like Avogadro's number quarters and play forever, the longest game in the history of football. But somebody's going to ultimately win the game. So which team do we want to lose more, I guess, is the way to look at it. The Rams have been more of a recent nuisance, and then winning the Super Bowl and beating us in the championship game. But Seattle's back and stronger than they've been since the Legion of Boom days. And we know about that rivalry when, you know, it was Jim Harbaugh against Pete Carroll, and Richard Sherman was in Seattle. So I'm trying to figure this out. We're all going to be depressed.
Yep.
Because someone is going to be playing the Super Bowl in our stadium on February the 8th. Which team do we want to lose the most on Sunday?
That's what we've been asking our fans, too, here. Just like, I don't think, and people have been asking for just other things to happen, just not even to have the game happen. It's obviously going to happen. But, Greg, as I look at this, you warned us about Seattle. You said this early on that you thought they might be the best team. And I'm not surprised that they won, but I'm surprised in the manner and just the way they made the Niners offense look. Kyle's so good at his craft. I think the Niners offense is good, and obviously they were missing some players, but what is it about Seattle that has turned into the kryptonite, at least for this version of the Niners?
The way John Schneider and the new coach, and even Pete on the way out the door, and the whole organization there rebuilt that team. Look at their drafts from 2022 on. The first year they got 2 offensive linemen, Cross, the left tackle, and Lucas, the right tackle. And then they added Devin Witherspoon. They picked him 5th overall in the draft. That's high to take a corner, especially an undersized guy. But I saw him coming out of Illinois. He wore number 31 in school. I thought he hit like Dante Whitner, who wore 31 with the Niners, but he played corner. And he can play outside and inside, and then they just kept adding every year. Even Worry, the guy they got this past year as a rookie, is a kind of a modern-day version of Cam Chancellor. going back to the Legion of Boom days. But they use them more like Mike McDonald when he was the defensive coordinator in Baltimore used Kyle Hamilton, where he lines up everywhere, and you don't really have a feel for where he is. And those two guys, Witherspoon and Eamon Worry, are perfect matchups for the Niners over the middle of the field, whether it's Kittle on a Kittle over the middle or McCaffrey on an option route over the middle of the field or in the flat. Those guys just get there quickly, and they don't miss tackles. They hit everything, and the guy goes to the ground hard. They went out and got veteran guys like Leonard Williams, and Demarcus Lawrence. Leonard Williams was a good player with the Jets and Giants. He became a force with the Seahawks. They re-signed him right away. And then Demarcus Lawrence last year had a foot injury in Dallas. He looks like an entirely different guy. The uniform fits him differently in Seattle. He wears 0. In a way, he went at Brock on the first play of the game. And later in the game, the way Leonard Williams tracked him down to sack him on that 4th down when he blew by Dominic Booney, it's like, whoa. And then they've got Reek Woolen. They're just 2 safeties always with Julian Love and Kobe Bryant. They're just a terrific defensive team, and they have great personnel. And then this guy is a great defensive coordinator. So they're going to be a problem for a long time because they got, Williams is a little older, and so is DeMarcus, but it doesn't look like they're retiring anytime soon the way they played last Saturday. And then they've got Ernest Jones the fourth. I call him Jones IV.
Right.
Because that's something I see on the back of his jersey, and I got a perpetual IV in my arm here with my pick line. But that guy's a difference maker. Takes away the middle of the field. I would say for this one game on Sunday, a couple of teams have been able to really light up this. Remember, they had a great shootout in Seattle, Baker against Sam, and it was 38-35 Tampa Bay. And then probably the most exciting game of the regular season, and there were so many, but from start to finish, that Thursday night game, Rams at Seattle. Seattle came back on them, wound up winning in overtime by a single point, but the Rams rolled up, Jace, 581 yards. 581 in that game. It's like, whoa. The way the Niners were going, they'd have to play 3 games to get to 581 against them. Let's be honest. So that'll be interesting to see if the Rams can go in there. What's the weather going to be like Sunday night, essentially for a late afternoon night game. And then losing Charbonnet.
Yeah.
In our game. Zach Charbonnet. Because they really do go back and forth between Kenneth Walker III and Zach. How many carries can they give K9? Do they have other backs? They also have Cam Akers on their roster, the former L.A. Ram running back who they wound up letting go when they got Kyron Williams. So will he mix in? They got a couple of other young guys, but losing Zach Charbonnet is a big part of what they do in combination with Kenneth Walker III. And the big thing is Sam Darnold. He just didn't turn the ball over against the Niners in 8 quarters of football. We know about his propensity to turn the ball over. Can the Rams turn him over? And what Rams defense will we get in this game? There was a point early in the year where I had a hard time choosing which defense is better, the Rams or the Seahawks. There's no doubt now Seattle's defense is far better. The Rams defense can be very inconsistent, and they don't play as well on the road as they do at SoFi. So are we going to have another shootout like we had when it was 38-37, Seattle in overtime? But the hell with these two teams. I hope they play forever and end in a tie. And would that mean the Niners would go to the Super Bowl?
Let's do it.
Would it be like the next one up,
I'd take that, and as we think about kind of what's next for the 49ers, does John Lynch and crew there kind of do everything in their normal DNA to how they want to build this team back up, or do they kind of do it with a lean towards look at what Seattle is, we need to figure out a way to crack that code? Do they kind of have Seattle in their mind as they're building this team back up?
Well, I think you always look within your own division. The first thing, you want to win the championship game and go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, but the first thing is if you win your division, you're at least going to get a home playoff game, and you may get more. And That's the goal. That is the easiest way to make the playoffs, is to win your own division. The problem is the Niners won 12 games this year. They won enough games to win a lot of divisions a lot of years. You just weren't going to win the NFC West this year when Seattle won 14 games. So as far as specifically matching up, I think the Rams and the Seahawks are different defensively, but they present a similar problem in the fact that their defensive lines just can devour games. And we know, I went through all of Seattle's guys. And Seattle they got some guys on the outside. Nwosu can rush the quarterback from outside. And Mafe can rush the quarterback from outside. Hall, can do it from outside. He can blitz even worry off the edge. But to me, the real strength of their D-line is inside out. Mm-hmm. They, as I mentioned, Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence, they have this young player, second-year player from Texas named Byron Murphy. The second, he's just a monster. You can't move him in the run game. That's why I think Kyle was reluctant to run quarterback sneak on them at 4th and 1, and he ran the down the line option, which he was trying to flip the ball to McCaffrey. And the guy also had 7 sacks. The Rams are also built with Kobe Turner inside, Braden Fisk inside. Yes, they have the outside guys, Young and Verse, that can bring pressure, but they're really strong in the interior as well. So you've got to fortify the O-line. I know they love Jake Brendel, so I don't see them making a major change there. Are those 2 young guards consistently good enough? Is Dominic Pony physical enough and good enough? He had a lot of bad snaps on Saturday night, and Leonard Williams will do that to you, and so will DeMarcus. And then is Spencer Burford really your answer at left guard? So I think when you look at it, and then you got to be able to separate from them. And the Niners just didn't have enough wide receivers that could separate, with Aiyuk going AWOL and Ricky missing a lot of time and playing injured for most of the time since he's been back. So there are a lot of things, but I think you just rebuild it the way you would anyway. It's just you're going to have to rebuild it to the highest level because I think the 2 best teams in football are in the NFC West.
Yeah.
The Niners, the 3rd best team in the NFC West, there's no doubt. Are they the 3rd best team in the NFC? Well, we beat the Bears at home. Where do you stack them up with? We beat Philadelphia on the road in the playoff game. Where do you stack them up with the Green Bays and Detroit? Where are they going to be when they come back? Tampa Bay, where are they going to be? So, but yeah, I think you just do what you've always done philosophically, and that's good because you keep the same coaching staff. So the way they play offense, and even though Sala left and Gus Bradley, it sounds like will be the DC, Chase, they'll run the same concepts on defense. Okay. So you don't have to change much. I think you're still drafting the same type of players. You just got to develop these guys. The Niners have had 2 good draft classes back to back. But go back to 2024's draft. Ricky Pearsall. He had 4 good games early in the year. He had a good game against Chicago. He had a couple of good games after that, but that PCL injury really took him down. He did not, and his first year with the gunshot wound, hard to assess that. But he needs to be more available. Renardo Green, the 2nd-round pick in 24, did not have as good of a year this year as last year. It's not even close. Is he even a starting corner in this league? Is Dominic Pony a starting guard? He looked like a plug-and-play guy his rookie year, and this year he had a PCL injury in August with the knee, and I don't know if he's physical enough. You got to be physical. The way John Feliciano played in there for the Niners on the last Super Bowl trip after Burford was taken out, that guy was a badass. He scared me in the hallways. I was afraid of him. He's just sinister-looking guy, and he plays that way. He's physical. You need that inside to deal with these monsters that both the Rams and Seahawks have. So I don't know. And then Burford, is he the guy or Bard? So, and then the wide receivers, and they got to upgrade there. There's no doubt. What do they do with Jawan's contract? And the safeties, do Malik Mustafa and Marquise Siegel work together? To me, they're very similar players. Undersized safeties, both 5'10", 5'11", and you just hit the snot out of you. Their trigger, come downhill, fill in the run game, and blow you up. But are they the kind of guys that have enough size, enough range, enough ball skills that you can trust in center field to go up and take a deep shot away, especially when you're playing so much zone defense and those safeties are asked to cover, whether it's the deep fourth of the field in a cover 4 or the deep middle in a cover 3, whatever you're playing, cover 6. Safeties have to cover the deep part of the field a lot. And, do those guys have the ball skills to do that?
Greg, you mentioned earlier in that about the wide receivers and Aiyuk. How did we get to that spot with him? I mean, it's really unfortunate how it all ended for him here in San Francisco.
Oh, I love your brother, but that word is woefully inadequate. Unfortunately, it's one of the great mysteries in Bay Area sports.
Yeah.
I mean, Charles Haley was a troubled guy when he played here. Alden Smith was so troubled. But with Alden, we knew what it was. He had an addiction. I don't know what's wrong with Brandon. I don't. I have no idea. He was a very different person the beginning of his career than he was the last 2 years. That's all I'll tell you.
Wow.
The first year he was drafted during the pandemic, and I didn't even get in the same room with him. None of the coaches did. Everything was done in separate rooms via Zoom. But as a player, he walked in right away and wow, this guy knows how to run NFL routes. He is refined. Debo wasn't that kind of route runner. Brandon Aiyuk was, and Brandon was tough. And remember the game when he jumped over Marcus Epps, the Eagles safety, and that's when I broke out the Aiyuk is on fire. He jumped right over him like Ronaldo's Nehemiah. I was like, what did he just do? And then he ran in the air. Then second year, a little bit of a pushback on him. They had to get after him a little bit, both Wes Welker, the wide receiver coach, and Kyle himself. But then he came out of it middle of the year at a game in Chicago on Halloween, and he balled out. And he's a great blocker. He's a great route runner. He's a dependable, big-bodied ex-wide receiver. That's the guy you throw to on 3rd and 5. The catch he made against Green Bay and Keyshawn Nixon in that playoff game on a 3rd and 5. Well, what if he didn't come up with that? What would we have done on 4th down, middle of the field? May have punted the ball away, may have lost the game. There may have been no comeback against the Detroit Lions the next week in the championship game, and he made one of the great plays in the history of the franchise, the B.A. ricochet, the ladybug, that whole thing. And then that's the last home game he ever played before the saga started. And he wasn't happy in the Super Bowl. He was weird after that game. I don't know if he was disappointed they lost or didn't think he got enough targets, probably both. And then the contract negotiation, I never thought he would behave that way. He was not a look-at-me guy. He was extremely dependable. He never missed a snap in practice, ever. Debo always would. Debo would be like, where's Debo?
Yeah.
He pulled calf. Debo, 20 minutes of practice and he's done, all the time. Aiyuk never did that. And then he just acted so differently with social media. And I was like, wow, is he a look-at-me guy? I never saw that in him. And the way the negotiations went, he showed signs of just inconsistent behavior. I wonder if he, like Charles Haley, it's something chemical. There's something in his body. Is he bipolar? Is he manic? I don't know. But his behavior that way was extremely up and down. And then he finally signs a contract. He becomes wildly wealthy. And he suffers a terrible injury, terrible ACL, MCL, meniscus, all mutilated. It's hard. But that's what athletes do. You gotta overcome it. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And he just, whether he attacked it the same way he did as a player, I don't know. If he never suffered that injury against the Chiefs, would he have been fine and he would have resumed his career? I have no idea. And he doesn't want to talk to anybody. I've reached out to him, come on show, and bigger forum than me, do it on national TV. Tell your side of the story.
Right.
He doesn't do any of that. He was so cryptic on social media and yet he won't come forward with what he's feeling, so we have to fill in these blanks for him. So this is one of the great unsolved mysteries in Bay Area sports. I'm sure someday it'll be solved to some degree, but wow, what a huge loss for the football team. But more importantly, I just hope he's well.
Yeah.
As a person, I felt that way with Alden Smith a lot. Like, somebody help this guy. Something's going to happen where it's not going to end well.
Right.
And his career just ended. Huh. That guy should have put a gold jacket on.
Yeah, for sure.
Charles Haley was able to overcome all of his demons to get a gold jacket and win 5 Super Bowls. His career would have been much better if he didn't have to battle all that. He would have been a Niner the whole time. They never would have traded him.
Yeah.
And those guys' careers are over. And for Brandon, I'm hoping, he's just starting his career, but he's going to have to reprove to everybody, not just the Bay Area, and he's going to move on. He's got to prove to the NFL that he's a capable teammate and that he's worthy of this roster spot, and physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. He's got to show people that he can be a dependable teammate. So he's got a lot to overcome, but I just hope he's well and worry about football later.
Well, Greg, in our final minute or so, I do want to thank you again for all your really how open you were with us all season long on your own personal journey. This is, I know, our final episode for this season, and I look forward to doing it again next year. But I'll speak for Dave, who's not here today. We have really enjoyed your conversation, and I have too. And just before we go, I'd love to get a health status on how you're feeling and kind of what's next for you.
Well, as you say, my doctor, a hematologist, Dr. Aaron Logan, approved me to do the championship game if we had won in Seattle.
Yeah.
So I'd be heading to SoFi probably today or tomorrow, probably today. That's not going to happen. He also was going to adjust my treatment schedule, which blew me away, to do the Super Bowl.
Wow.
He's like, I'm not a big sports fan, but I've read a lot about it. It seems like it's a big deal, and I know it's important to you, so but that's not going to happen. So I'm going to begin my treatment. I'm still waiting for the bone marrow transplant. My cardiomyopathy, my genetic heart condition that I have, is getting better. It got better. I had an echocardiogram last Friday, and the numbers are improving, but they've got to improve a little more before I'll be comfortable going into a transplant and being able to survive that. So I would think sometime maybe March, end of February, I can get back on that schedule to get the transplant done, and then it'll be a long, arduous process, as you know, with your family and your son. So you and Dave have been terrific to me. Really, that Friday before the first Niners game, I guess it was September the 5th, was the first time I really told people specifically about what I have, having ALB, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, B-cell, and what I was going through, and my have to have a bone marrow transplant or I'll likely relapse. Even though I've been in remission for months, since late August, I've been cancer-free. So it's been a hard year. This has been a really difficult year, obviously, but I'm coming out the other side. I was able to get back in the booth for the one game, and just all the love and support that I get from people that I know really well and people that I don't know at all have made me, really intense and driving to get back, obviously. And then personally with you, Jason, when you told me about your son, I think I got through that whole first day without crying at all about me. And then when you told me about your baby just born with essentially leukemia, I was like, what? It's just unbelievable. So, and you and your wife, we got on a phone call together, and you guys have been great. And I pray for your son all the time, but he's going to be fine. So it's been 2025 has been the most challenging year of my life without question, but we'll get through it, and I'm alive here in 26, and I hope to continue for a long, long time. So, but thank you for being a friend, you and Dave, and you specifically with your struggle, being even more than a friend, a confidant, and a advisor, and a mentor, and also giving me the forum. And I did one game this year, one. So, allowing me to come on and talk about the team and talk about the league and stay somewhat relevant was critical. And as you know, it's not just physical; it's your mentals when you go through something like this. You feel like you've been canceled. You just can't do anything. People that experience FOMA, this is the ultimate FOMA. You're missing out on everything. So, but it's only, a short period of time, and I'll be back better than ever. So thank you, Jace. I love you and Dave and everybody there at Sactown Sports, and look forward to whenever you guys want to talk, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm not trading Jonathan Kuminga for DeMar DeRozan. I'll tell you that right now. We're not doing that, but maybe after he got hurt last night, we will do it. But we will stay in touch, my friend.
For sure. Well, Greg, thank you. We're going to stay in touch for sure off the air as well, just to keep monitoring your journey. And thank you again so much, and we'll definitely talk to you soon.
Thank you, my friend. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too. That is Greg Papa. Appreciate him and his words. He's been able to share how open he's been. It honestly has been that was one of the most powerful segments I think I've ever done in radio. One of them, certainly when he joined us that first week to tell us his story. And wow, that was truly amazing. And then now I feel like all of us are following along and rooting for him. And look, I wanted the Niners to win anyway, but selfishly I wanted it for Greg so that they could go on and he could call another game for this team. But he will be back bigger, better than ever, and we look forward to that, and we look forward to talking to him. Whether we match up again, sometime during the offseason, if there is a Kings-Warriors deal or something, we'll get him back on, but certainly next football season as well. So that's the great Greg Papa. We appreciate him. We appreciate you guys all listening as well. When we come back, we still have What's on Deck, brought to you by Trex